time, there was a young man called Jack, and he lived with his mother in a little house, in a little village, and he did little work. He was so lazy. People used to call him Lazy Jack. And it wasn't as if he and his mother had much money either. And the house was in a right state. The roof leaked in the rain. There were holes in the walls, mice everywhere. The front door was hanging off its hinges.
All day long his poor mother would wash and dry clothes, cook the meals and clean the house. She would do all the housework, while Jack would either be sitting in the sun or, if the weather was cold, resting by the fire.
Lazy boy. One day, his mother had had enough. "If you don't start pulling your weight, young man, I'll throw you out of the house. And then where will you be?" "Well, what do you want me to do?" asked Jack. "Get out there and find yourself a job. Make yourself useful," his mother replied. So, the next day, Monday morning, Jack set off to get a job. And he happened to find a day's work at a local farm. And the farmer asked him to help harvest the crops. And at the end of the day, the farmer gave Jack a penny.
Jack had never earned money from working before, and he was very pleased. And smiling to himself, he set off for home.
But as he was crossing a stream on the stepping stones, he slipped. Whoops! And the penny fell into the stream. Whoop! And was lost forever. Uh-oh. When he got home, he told his mum what had happened. "You silly boy," his mother shouted at him. "You should have put it in your pocket." "Oh," said Jack. "Put it in my pocket. I'll do that next time." So on Tuesday morning, Jack set off to find another job. And this time, he got a day's work on a strawberry farm. He was asked to help pick the fruit. And at the end of the day, the farmer gave him a basket of strawberries as payment. Well, Jack had never been given strawberries before. He was really pleased.
He immediately put all the strawberries from the basket into his pockets and, smiling to himself, set off for home.
But on the way home, all the strawberries got squished in his pocket. It made a right mess of his shirt. Uh-oh. When he got home, he told his mum what had happened. "You silly boy, you should have carried them on your head," his mother shouted. "Oh," said Jack. "Carry it on my head. I'll do that next time." On Wednesday morning, Jack set off to find another job, and he happened to get a day's work with a cheesemaker. He was asked to help make the cheese.
At the end of the day, the cheesemaker gave him some cheese as payment. He immediately stuck the cheese on top of his head and, smiling to himself, set off for home.
But it was a very, very hot day that day, and all the cheese melted all the way down Jack's face, got matted in his hair. Uh-oh. And when he got home, he told his mum what had happened. "You silly boy, you should have carried it carefully in your hands." "Oh," said Jack. "Carry it carefully in my hands. I'll do that next time." On Thursday morning, Jack set off to find another job. And this time, he got a day's work on a chicken farm. And he was asked to help collecting all the eggs. At the end of the day, the chicken farmer gave him his very own chicken, so he could have some eggs at home.
Jack had never been given a chicken before. He was very pleased. He immediately picked up that chicken carefully in his hands and, smiling to himself, set off for home.
His journey home started off okay, but soon the chicken got bored of being carried and it started to struggle. Jack said, "No, chicken, stop struggling."
But the chicken pecked and clucked and scratched.
And by the time Jack got home, he looked very worse for wear. Uh-oh. He told his mother what had happened. "You silly boy. You should have tied a string around it and let it walk behind you." "Oh," said Jack. "Right, I'll do that next time." On Friday morning, Jack set off to find another job. And this time he got a day's work at a butcher's. Yeah, he was asked to sell things in the shop. And as payment, the butcher gave him at the end of the day a string of sausages.
Jack had never been given sausages before. He was very pleased. He tied some string around them and put them on the floor.
"Come on, sausages," said
said Jack, but the sausages didn't move. He jerked the string. The sausages still didn't move.
"I'll have to drag you then,"
said Jack, and so he did. Smiling to himself, he set off for home, dragging the sausages behind him.
All the way home he went, dragging those sausages behind him, through the dirt and the mud and the mess that the cows had left behind on the road.
At one point, the sausages got caught around a rock and poor Jack fell over.
Uh-oh. When he got home, he told his mum all that had happened.
Oh, you silly boy.
His mother shouted.
You should have carried them around your neck.
Oh, carry it across my shoulders. I'll do that next time. On Saturday morning, Jack set off to find another job, and this time he got a day's work on a dairy farm. He was asked to help milk the cows. And at the end of the day, the lady who owned the farm gave him a cow as payment.
Jack had never been given a cow before. He was very pleased.
You can see where this is going, can't you?
He immediately picked up the cow and carried it across his shoulders. Smiling to himself, Jack set off for home.
Oh, it was heavy. Now, as it happened, on his way home, Jack passed a very, very fine house indeed.
A wealthy young lady lived there, all alone. She had no friends, no family, and she was so sad that she hadn't smiled in years, let alone laughed.
She was looking out of a window, as she always did at that time of day, just staring off into the distance, when she saw Jack walking along the road.
Oh,
She thought,
it's that young man that passes here every day.
In the past week, she'd seen Jack walk by with cheese melted all over his head, strawberries squashed in his pocket, dragging sausages through all the mud and the cow pats, and on another day, carrying a chicken that was attacking his face, all without raising a smile to her lips.
Today, though, she saw Jack walking along, struggling to keep his legs from buckling with a cow over his shoulders. The cow was on its back, its 4 legs stuck up in the air. She started to smile. Then she started to grin. And finally she started laughing. For the first time in years. Real belly laughs.
She opened her front door. "Excuse me."
She said. Jack stopped. "What's your name?"
"Jack," said Jack.
"Would you like to come in for some tea?"
"Ooh, yes, please," replied Jack, and he put the cow down and he went inside the house. And to cut a long story short, he and the young lady got on so well that sometime later they both got married to each other. And Jack and his mum, they moved out of the little house and into the big fine house, and his mum was so proud of him. And Jack was never lazy ever again. And he and the young lady lived happily ever after, and they made each other laugh till the end of their days. The end.